Hi, John Drevinger here. Thanks for attending my session, and you probably have an envelope looks something like this that had a card inside of it with a QR code that got you to this page. Now I'm going to explain to you the trick that I performed for you today so you can figure out how to do it a couple different ways. I'm going to teach you two techniques for using it, one with the deck of cards, one without. Whichever one works best for you is great. And then at the end I will explain a story I tell with it that ties into safety if you want to use that. So we have the envelope like so, and you take this and you begin by saying to somebody, okay, I want you to take this deck of cards, and you take a deck of cards, you can hand it to them, you can spread it out like so, whichever you prefer, and ask them to take one card. At that point, they take a card out, they look at it, all right, of course you wouldn't be seeing it, and they look at the card, they put it back into the deck if you want, or they can hold on to it. And then at that point you go, would you be impressed if your card was in this envelope? Would that be pretty good? And they say, they'll always say yes. And you say, now, but I should point out to you that it is absolutely possible, and in safety, if you could predict the future, you could prevent every injury that occurred, because you wouldn't ever, you'd see something coming and you'd know, oh, wait a minute, there's a hazard there, and you'd avoid the potential injury. Well, you can actually predict the future, and I'll finish up with that. But here's how you do the trick. So you say, okay, so would you be impressed if your card was in this envelope? And they say yes. And you say, okay, let's see now. Just so you can't change your mind on me, which card did you choose? Now, you bring the card out like so, and you have the printed side facing them, and you say, okay, which card did you choose? And they tell you the card, and you can say, tell me the card just so you can't change your mind on me. That's the reason why they're telling you before you've revealed it. They tell you the card. In this case, it was the Queen of Spades, and you say, the Queen of Spades? I told you it would be right here, and there it is, the Queen of Spades, and you point to the card that they mentioned, right, like so. Obviously, they can see there's 52 cards on there. You get a laugh, and you move forward. And then you go into the story that I'll put in at the end. A second way for doing the trick is without a deck of cards. You don't need to have a deck of cards to do this trick. You can also do it as a prediction this way. Say, now, what I want you to do is I'm going to predict ahead of time. In this envelope, I have a prediction of a card you're going to choose from a deck in your own mind. And what I want you to do right now is think of a deck of cards, 52 cards. There's 4 suits, hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades, and then, of course, an ace through 10 of each card, and then jack, queen, and king. Now, you mentioned the suits to them and the numbers of the cards, because not everybody's familiar with playing cards, and you never want somebody, when you call on them in the audience, to feel uncomfortable that you're using them as a volunteer. So you've given them some tips on that if they're not somebody that plays cards and doesn't understand that. So you've told them that, and you say, what I'd like you to do is, in that 52 card deck that's in your mind, I would like you to pick any card you want out of there, but don't pick an ace, they're too obvious. You want to eliminate the aces, because afterwards people say, well, everybody picks an ace, but they don't. So eliminate the aces, and you say, okay, now think of any card in a deck of 52 cards, and then please go ahead and think of that card. Now, just so you can't change your mind on me, which card did you choose? At that point, you casually take the card out of the envelope, and you say to them, which card did you choose? They tell you. And so they say, the 6 of diamonds. And you go, great. And here it is, right there, as I promised, on this card, your card, the 6 of diamonds, and you point to it and show them. And they, of course, get the same laugh you did before. Now, you can tie a safety story in this. You can say, hey, it's absolutely possible to predict the future. And the way you do it is by observing events in the world around you and things that are happening. And the more your situation awareness is increased, the safer you're going to be. A good example of this in my life, I was driving my daughter to school one day, and I looked, and there was a car coming up to a stop sign. It stopped at the stop sign, and it was one of these cars that had dents in it, all sorts of different paint, had a chain holding down the hood, a bungee cord holding the trunk. I mean, it was a wreck. My daughter saw it, and she said, oh, that's terrible. If we had a car like that, I wouldn't let you drive me to school in it. Now, you don't want your kids judging people based upon their possessions. So I said to her, Jessica, that may be the best car these people can afford. It allows them to get to and from work every day and allows them to do what they need to do, and that's great. In the midst of giving her that lesson, though, my brain, the part of my brain that's protecting me, was aware that there's a car with a lot of dents in it. And part of my unconscious mind said, those people may have earned every dent on there. They may do what I call touch driving, bouncing off everybody as they go. And because of that, my brain, to protect me in my situational awareness, seeing that I might have a hazard nearby, took my foot off the gas and put it over the brake. That way, in case they pulled out, I was ready. And sure enough, that's what they did. They jumped the stop sign, pulled in front of me and another car, and I hit the brakes, avoided hitting them, so did the other car. But it was because of our awareness that we didn't run into them. We predicted the future. I predicted the future anticipating they might jump out in front. So that's one way you can predict the future. Think in terms of situations in your workplace that you could tell people, when you see this, it would tell you that, hey, something might go wrong with that machine, or whatever else it is. You know your industry and what you do, and you can tie that in. Just like I do when I speak at different locations, I will tie in the stories I do to the needs of that particular client. I'd love to have the opportunity to come and speak at your location and do some motivational talks for you. I do one called Would You Watch Out for My Safety, which is about watching out for each other, and it has a book that goes with it that's available. It's also available in e-version. Would You Watch Out for My Safety? I also do a talk called Ensure Your Safety, which is about personal responsibility. If you were at the American Society of Safety Professionals in 2021, that's the one I did that I made this video for, to give the instructions for the trick. So just check out the site, drebinger.com, drebinger.com, and you can see some of the other videos I have on there. There should be a link somewhere on here. We'll have the address up there for it. So go ahead and check that out. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoy doing this trick, and I hope to see you in the future, showing you some more, and speaking to your employees, motivating them to work safely day in and day out. Thanks.